Hey, what is going on, everyone? And welcome to today's show on the Nerds of Wrestling podcast. This is What's Up Wrestler, and my guest at this very time is Killa Kate. Killa Kate, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. That was an awesome introduction song there. I was like, oh, okay.
Thank you. Shout out to my buddy at Respect the Ring for making me that intro video because he did a hell of a job doing that. Yeah, no, I'm really glad that you're on the show today. I'm excited to talk to you. Before we get in and before we get to know a little bit about Killa Kate, drop those plugs. Where can the nerds find you?
They can find me at WrestleKate on Twitter and Instagram. That's where you can find me.
There
Simple.
you go. Simple as that, guys. Like, I feel like you're very lucky because a lot of people aren't able to get both.
hmm
Same handles on both Instagram and Twitter. So you got lucky there.
Yeah, yeah. No, I did that on purpose. I tried to pick something that wasn't already used because you don't want to have a bunch of old school bunch of numbers at the end or something like that.
Right, right. I always hated those social media plugs. It's like Austin 37598. Like, why?
Yes,
What do you need that for? What's
my
going
lucky
on with
number.
that? Yeah, seriously, that's a long lucky number. How are you doing during this crazy time? We're living in. I always ask that question because I feel like it's a good icebreaker just to ask, like, what have you been up to during this crazy time we're living in?
Oh man. Well, yeah, it's definitely been kind of crazy. I think everybody can agree that didn't anticipate it going like this,
Right.
last year and stuff like that. But I'm happy that it seems like this year, at least, that a lot of progress and stuff is being made in that aspect of, finding vaccines and stuff like that. So hopefully things just keep getting better. Personally, it's been hard, like on the wrestling scene, because I know a lot of places have had schools closed or closed down and shows not happening as often. So that can kind of be demotivating for people, but also at the same time, there's been a lot of good that's been happening in the wrestling world while this has been going on. A lot of people have been getting some great opportunities and to get to showcase their skills and stuff like that. So it's good and bad, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. I agree. It's like a blessing and a curse, kind of.
Mhm.
If I was looking back on Facebook earlier today, and it's just crazy, like where we were at then to where we're at now.
Yeah.
And a lot of things have changed, and a lot of things have improved. Back at work, everything's going good. I hope things are going good for you. And there's so much wrestling going on. It's
hmm
extremely overwhelming. Have you been keeping up with any of the current products?
Yeah, I've been keeping up with some of it. I always try to watch a little bit, or at least watch the pay-per-views for sure, and then catch any kind of like highlights or matches people really talk about. But like you said, it's so hard. There's just so much wrestling out there now. There's so many huge companies and stuff like that, and even on the smaller scale, there's just so much good wrestling content. It's just like a lot nowadays.
Honestly, like, do you see yourself though, like sitting down, like on your couch or on your bed, just watching Raw for 3 hours?
not not these days, honestly. It's
Not
just like such a
anymore.
busy schedule. Yeah, it's just 3 hours is just such a long time to kind of ask of people.
Yeah.
It's for anybody. I'm sure everybody has very busy schedules, stuff like that. Luckily, the age of DVR and the age of the internet, we're able to consume that on our own timetables and schedules now and stuff like that. So it's a lot easier, but it's still a lot.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I haven't been watching at all. It just not my cup of tea anymore. I mean, I'm still a massive wrestling fan, but I just can't. I can't do it. I can't sit down for three. It's so long and it's so overwhelming just to watch Raw for 3 hours. Like you said,
hmm
who has the time and who wants to
Yeah.
watch it anymore? Not that I don't want to watch it. It's too much. It's too long.
Yeah.
uh, you
There's
know,
so many options now of like just different forms of entertainment. Like when you think about it, like your phone, you can just there's so much on your phone instantly. So it's just a lot to compete with. Wrestling has a lot to compete with in that aspect. So
dude, it's crazy how you brought that up because we live in a crazy world where you have DVRs, you have internet, you have everything. Yeah, Raw's on Monday, Impact on Tuesday, AEW Wednesday. You know the schedule.
mhm.
I don't know if you ever heard the new app that just came out, the new streaming service, Paramount Plus.
Oh yes, I've seen some of those commercials.
Yeah, I've been binging like crazy. I'm a huge nerd. I love watching the old TV shows I grew up watching as a kid. So I am not ashamed to say that I have been binge watching Nancy Classified School Survival Guide
Oh
for like
gosh,
the past
yes.
week. I was like, bro, this is my shit. Like I had to
Mhm.
watch it, and it's crazy because going off topic a little bit, I forgot how funny like that show kind of was. Like
Mhm.
I was young, I was like 11 or 10 when it came out, but I'm watching this show. I'm like, this is actually pretty funny.
Actually good.
Like
Yeah.
this is actually really good. Like they don't make the shows like that anymore, and it sucks. It really does suck. But going into wrestling, were you always a big fan of wrestling? Who were some wrestlers that really that you looked up to?
I honestly wasn't always a big fan of wrestling. Like it came about like probably middle school to high school age because my family just didn't wasn't into wrestling, and honestly I didn't know what it was until I was flipping through the channels one day, saw
Right.
Raw on TV, and I said, what is this? Like I was just kind of mesmerized by it because I had done like some combat sports like karate and stuff like that younger and always been into that, but seeing it on TV in this kind of fantastical entertainment like form, it was just different. It wasn't like turning on collegiate wrestling or something like that, and you're
Right.
like, this is cool but I'm kind of bored. Like this was
Right.
larger than life stuff. So people like that, I always gotta say, it's like John Cena, Randy Orton, people like that, during that kind of ruthless era is the ones who caught my attention. But who really made me fall in love with it was those independent stars like Ring of Honor, Samoa Joe, Daniel Bryan, and Nigel McGuinness. Like people like that were that form of wrestling was what made me love it. I tell people, yeah.
I talked to a lot of wrestlers in my day, and you are literally, I'm not even joking, you are the first wrestler who said my family was not into wrestling. Holy shit, that is like groundbreaking news on this Nerds of Wrestling podcast. Like I did every time I talk to a wrestler, interview them, they go, "Oh, my family was always into it."
Yeah,
I'm like, "What the fuck? Like, how come my family
I,
can't be like that?"
I
You are
know.
the
It's like I
first
feel left
wrestler. That's
out.
crazy. I feel, like seriously, like I'm like mind blown right now, like that your
Mm-hmm.
family wasn't into it. But when you got into it, was your family like, "Why are you watching this? Why do you like it?"
At first, like especially my dad was kind of like that, but they kind of grew to be accustomed to it and kind of
Right.
enjoy it. Like my mom would take me to like the local independent shows around here, and then my dad would take me to like any big pay-per-views or Raws that came in the area. Like so they supported it, but I don't think they necessarily loved it initially, but they grew to kind of enjoy it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so my dad didn't never took me to a wrestling show. My dad would not watch it.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it's my mom kind of liked it. My
Mhm.
mom at the time, my mom's still around. She liked it, but like she didn't watch it every time. But like, if like Raw came to like Hartford or like Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut, she'll take me to the show. But now, 26-year-old me is like, if wrestling's coming to Connecticut, I'm going. Like
Yeah.
I'm there. Like
Yeah.
like screw them. Like I don't care what they think. Yeah, it's $100 for a ticket. I want to go.
Hmm.
It seems like you got into independent wrestling fairly early. How old were
Hmm.
you when you discovered the indies?
I would say 14 or 15. And
Wow.
honestly, it was from getting to see literally after SmackDown, like on Fridays, would come the news. And there was this local news story about a local promotion. And I was like, what is this? They have wrestling down the street, basically. And so I was like,
Right.
can somebody take me to this? I want to go see what it was. And yeah, it was so crazy to see it kind of in person, like even in a smaller setting, but like in your face and stuff like that. And that's what made me fall in love with like the indies, like Ring of Honor and Shimmer and stuff like that.
I always tell people who are just straight WWE marks or AEW marks, like who don't watch the independent wrestling or
Mhm.
doesn't want to get into it. I'm like, bro, like these are the wrestlers, like they're the fucking future, bro. Like these
Yeah,
wrestlers are starting in the indies, like, and they're gonna make their way up to the WWE at any time, any point.
yeah.
Uh, I meant so
Like literally at that promotion, Keith Lee and
yeah.
Ember Moon came from that promotion.
Look at
So
that. That's
it's
crazy. See,
yeah.
I see, and I seen Keith Lee wrestle multiple times in Connecticut. Great guy. I'm so happy for him for what he's doing up in WWE right now. He's
Mhm.
doing his thing, and it's kind of cool just to know, like, hey, I seen him wrestle in a dingy building in front of
Yeah.
75 people. Now he's wrestling in front of 30,000 people
Mhm.
every week. It's kind of crazy to think about. It's like really surreal. But going to your first independent wrestling show, what was going through your mind? You must have felt like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy because like the first thing you notice, right, is the ring. You're
Hmm.
like, this is right in front of me. Like this, you can almost reach out and touch it,
Right.
and it's just so surreal of like, man, like it's that close, and maybe one day I could do it too. And I think that's what kind of made me be like, maybe one day I could also be in there since it's so obtainable in proximity and stuff like that. So
I love that. I love that. Now let's talk about your wrestling journey. How did Killa Kate become Killa Kate? I love the Killa, by the way. It sounds like more. It sounds more gangster. I love that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, actually, the name comes from my trainer, Lou Gotti. He kind of gave me that name based off of I was always very quiet in class and very like just to myself. I mean, that's how I am sometimes. But then he found out that I could freestyle, so he was like, "Ah, Killa, like that's the Killa Kate." So that's kind of where that came from. But yeah, I signed up one day to try to train. I always said that I wanted to do this. And for a long time, I was doing, the regular thing that you're supposed to do in life, go to school, go to college. But
Yep.
I found out that it didn't make me happy. Like, everybody tells you to, like, not that it's bad, but like, you got to find what you're passionate about and follow that. So
One hundred
that's what I
percent.
did.
You
Here I
know.
am.
So you went to college for a little bit. You said, right?
Mhm.
And then you said it wasn't for you. You didn't finish college at all?
No, no, I did finish it,
Oh, okay.
but
Oh, you did finish it. All right.
yeah, yeah. But it was just still like, you're just kind of going through it because you have to, not because you want to.
Right. If you don't mind me asking, what was your major in school?
In logistics and supply chain management.
What in
Nobody knows what that is.
what made you want to get into that?
I've always just really liked basically like business and stuff like that and the different aspects of that. And I always looked at it from an aspect of I like just having a plan for everything and planning
Right.
things out. So I just explained to logistics to people as like how to get things from point A to point B or how to plan stuff, and I think it comes in handy because especially like being a wrestler, having to help out with the events and stuff like that, or even running yourself as a business, you have
Right.
to do a lot of planning and forethought. So
Yep, you do. Yeah. I
yeah.
love that. I love that. So, I mean, it looked like it came in handy.
Mhm. Yes,
I
very
love
much
that.
so.
So after, you were done with school, you started your wrestling training shortly after. How was that training? Like stepping foot into the ring for the first time, doing your first back bump, doing your first,
Hmm.
running of the ropes. What was going through your mind?
It was brutal. Like we were in this little hot box, basically, is what I call it, because there's no AC, like
Oof.
no windows. It also doubled as like a little MMA training area, but there was just one ring, and basically we're working in there for like 3 hours a night and stuff like that, kind of learning the basics. Luckily, we had a group of us start together. We were the first official class at our training center instead of just people coming in
Mhm.
on their own one at a time. So we had some people with us that all started at the same time to, it kind of helped come on, what's the word? Camaraderie wise, like
Moderate,
where,
yeah.
yeah, where it's like, you guys are all going through the same thing. So even though it wasn't, fun, it's worth it. I always explain, learning to bump and stuff like that. It's not fun, but whenever I did it, I was like, I feel like I could do this for the rest of my life if I had to, even though it's not fun, but I can survive through the pain
Right.
to do what I like and stuff like that.
So you must have felt like, did you feel like after that first back bump, were you like, okay, this is where I should be, this is where I'm gonna be, this is where I belong?
Absolutely. Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
that. I love that. And what was the first thing your trainers had you do? Because like I said, I hear a lot of stories. Oh, they had me do back bumps. Oh, they had me do lockups. What was the first
Hmm.
thing they had you do?
Oh no. So we had to our first day, well, kind of like for the rest of the class that was already started, like we're training in the ring. Our new class was in the MMA cage for 3 hours working on our rolls. Rolls
And oh
so
hell no!
important.
What?
Yeah, 3 hours working on our rolls, and
Mm,
stuff like that. So I always tell people, it's very important to get your footwork and the fundamentals before you start to learn all the crazy stuff. Everybody wants to come in and they want to be like, I want to power bomb somebody, and it's like, no, no, no. You need
no.
to make
What?
sure that your footwork's in place. Like that's what they they train you in football and basketball and all that stuff like that. You got to get your footwork. So your rolls and your footwork are very important. So
I love that. Was there anything during training when you first went into training like that you learned? Like you never knew before. You're like, oh, okay, I didn't know we had to do that.
oh, there's just so much. Like
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
there's
such
a lot.
a yeah. There's just so much, and it's hard to say because there's just constantly new things that I feel like I learn in wrestling, and that's one of the things I like about it so much is that you never know everything about it. Like you can be a 20-year vet and you still might you're still gonna learn new stuff because everybody just has such a different experience. Um, I was trying to think. I was like, I guess something maybe that I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint one exact thing,
Right.
I
Yeah,
guess.
it's a very weird question because like for wrestlers, they don't know everything the first time they're
Hmm.
going into training. So of course there's going to be stuff they don't know. What was it? What I'm not a wrestler, but what was one thing I never knew that? Okay, so it took me, one of my favorite moves is the Spanish Fly. I know that's a
Hmm.
very advanced move in wrestling. Obviously, you're not
Yeah.
going to do it during training. And I'm like, oh, I like this was like 4 years ago. I like the move where they're both together and one does the backflip, other one does the front flip, and they're like,
Hmm.
bro, that's a Spanish Fly. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
what it's called. I never
You're
knew
like,
that.
oh.
That's what it's called. You know,
Honestly, the names sometimes can be because sometimes people have different names for like the same
right?
thing,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I thought it was this, and they're like, well, it's called this, but it's because you've learned it from different areas of the country and stuff like that, or even different countries will call certain like moves different things. So you're like, wait, are we talking about the same thing?
Yep.
Oh, we are. Like,
You know,
yeah.
this is great. A lot of nerds are gonna think I'm stupid. Hopefully, you don't think I'm stupid, Kate. So I
No.
learned. So Sweet Chin Music was Shawn Michaels, right?
Hmm.
And I was like, every time I saw someone do Sweet Chin Music, I'm like, now it's called a super kick. Now we all know it's called a super kick. I was like, oh, Sweet Chin Music. They're like, no, super kick. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Sure. Same thing with the cutter. RKO. No, that's a cutter. What the fuck am I doing? What is going on? What is
No, you're good.
happening?
Like technically, you're correct. Like they're both names are correct. The
Right.
one that Sweet Chin Music is just popularized because Shawn Michaels is the one who popularized the move, or
Of
or
course. Yep.
is most popular currently doing the move. So it's not wrong to call it either thing. To me,
Yeah,
whatever
no,
whatever you want to call it.
thank you for that. Thank you. See, that makes me feel so much better. I want to go back a little bit. So you said you started watching wrestling around in middle school. I feel like that is a very, very popular age for wrestling. What year
Hmm.
was that? Like 06, 05?
Um, I don't remember exactly. I just know the first WrestleMania I saw was WrestleMania 23.
Me
So
too. That
yeah,
is,
see that's common. I've talked to a lot of people about like
yeah.
what yeah.
That I feel like a lot of people around 26, 25 started watching wrestling around.
Hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. People could start watching a lot earlier, but I started watching 05, 06, and the first
Hmm.
WrestleMania I've ever watched on live on pay-per-view was WrestleMania 23. So that WrestleMania always holds a special place in my heart. I was watching a YouTube video earlier, and it was this guy named Wrestle GIFs, I think, on YouTube,
Hmm.
and he was just talking about how fantastic that WrestleMania was. I'm like, bro, like looking back, like that was a good WrestleMania. It was
Yeah.
so good. Like they don't do WrestleManias like that anymore, and it sucks. But speaking of WrestleMania, are you excited for this year's WrestleMania?
I am very excited.
Are you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm always excited to watch the show and stuff like that.
Right.
I am super excited that I'll actually be down in Tampa.
Oh shit! No
Doing
way. That's awesome.
Yeah, I get to be on a couple of the independent shows down there that weekend, so I'm gonna
No
do
shit.
that and help out and stuff like that, and I guess probably watch WrestleMania if I'm free during that time.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. So you're gonna be up in Tampa for
Hmm.
that weekend. Before we talk about that, after your training was done and everything, weird segue, but after your your training was done and everything, and you were ready to get in the ring, you're ready to get booked. What was your first match, and what was your thought process going into that match?
Uh, well, my first official match was I was under a mask actually.
No, okay.
Yeah, they put me under a mask. Was Miss Mystery. Ooh.
Ooh,
Uh, and I wrestled a wrestler. She's not currently wrestling, but her name was Queen Uju.
okay.
Um, and I was pretty nervous. But honestly, all those nerves kind of went away, like the moment I walked out the curtain. I don't know how to explain it to people, but like you get all nervous backstage, right? You're like, I'm about to go out there, but as soon as you walk through the curtain, for some reason it just disappears. It's so weird. I don't know.
I feel like it's like that for a lot of people, though. People could be wrestling for years and years and years, and they still get nervous going through that curtain. Walking through gorilla. Going through the backstage
Mhm.
to that curtain. Uh, So you say your first match was a singles match, and you were in
Yes.
a mask. Yeah. So like I said, I heard a lot of stories. Battle royals. Singles matches, tag team matches. Did you prefer your singles match, or would you have preferred like a battle royal?
Um, Definitely a singles match. Like Battle Royal, there's just so many people in them. Like just to me, I love and hate Battle Royals where sometimes they can be too much chaos and sometimes they can be fun, but sometimes it's just like there's so much happening. Like what do I focus on? Like
Right.
like
No, I
so.
get
But
that. I get that. I'm assuming you were in battle royals before.
yes, I've been in a couple of them. Yeah.
Now, a lot of people tell me different stories. What goes on in the battle royal, like in the ring, like what's going through everyone's mind, like their process.
Oof. I think probably the hardest part is just figuring out who to go hit next. Like there's
Right.
just so many people. Like anywhere you turn, there's somebody there. It's just like, do I hit? Do I like who should I attack next? Just because until you start to whittle it down, there's just like if there's like a 30-man battle royale, there's just so many people. It's
Yeah, it seems.
crazy.
Yeah, it seems crazy. It seems like for us watching, as fans in the, at home or in the audience in the arena, we're like, oh, this is awesome. But like we don't know what's going through their mind. Like they're nervous as hell. They don't know what's going on. They got to be careful. They don't want to fuck up.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a time in a match where you did, mess up, or like just like a botch happened, or like a serious injury occurred?
um. I'm trying to think. There isn't any like glaring mess ups that I can think of. There's been instances and stuff like that where something does get maybe messed up in the match, and it having to basically go and be like, okay, let's get back on track and stuff like that. That's kind of the mindset you have to have. Injury wise, yes, I've suffered 2 concussions while in the
Oh,
ring.
Jesus! Wow.
Yeah,
In the ring?
and yeah.
Oh,
And one of them was like at the beginning of the match. So I was like, oh, well, and then you just kind of just go on autopilot through the rest of it. Like, they were never bad where I was like knocked out or anything, but it was like, obviously still a concussions.
right.
Not
Oh,
good.
see, yeah, that sucks. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad. I'm glad to see that you're doing better. Obviously, things are going. Things happen all the time. It's wrestling.
Yes.
Nothing. You got to be careful. 2020 was a crazy year for a lot of people. We talked about it a little bit in the beginning. But when 2020 hit, this whole pandemic happened last year. How were you kind of able to keep such a positive mindset?
Um, Honestly, it was kind of isolating. Because everybody was kind of stuck at home and stuff like that. I gotta give a hand to one the other school that I train at, the dojo, which is run by Ember Moon and Matthew Palmer. They
Nice.
were doing online classes. So like every week we would do like kind of like a promo online class and stuff like
Okay.
that. So honestly, like having like homework with to do like that, it was like it just gave me something to focus on where like nothing else was happening. So I have to attribute that to like a being a positive light because I got to see some of my other classmates on Zoom and everything like that, and we got to do our little homework assignment and stuff like that, and it definitely didn't make me feel like I was by myself, even though
Yeah.
I was.
I love that. A lot of people, say that's pretty cool because I never heard a story like that where you actually were, essentially in training, wrestling. That's
Yeah.
awesome. What was everybody else's mindset? I'm assuming they liked it too. They were enjoying it. Was there a lot of people?
Yeah, there's about maybe 8 or 10 of us, I
Oh,
would say.
that's not bad. That's pretty
Yeah, and everybody seemed to be like, you know, it's hard to think about back then, like everybody
right.
was feeling, but I'm sure everybody was like very depressed and stuff like that. It was kind of like the vibe that I got from people, but it seemed like everybody it made them feel better because everybody just wanted to keep talking, and stuff like that. They didn't want the class to end just because
Yeah.
then it was like now I have to go back for another week by myself and
Right.
stuff like that. So
A lot of people did that stuff though. Like a lot of people were doing, Zoom calls, Zoom parties,
Mhm.
and it's crazy. It's just crazy the world of technology we live in now. Like me. Well, last year I just binge watching Netflix all the time. Binge watching Disney. Other than wrestling, Killa Kate. Brings you to the next topic. Are you a Netflix binge watcher? What do you like to watch on Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu?
I am absolutely a binge watcher. I was like, unfortunately, the TV show that I loved so much this year wasn't bingeable anymore because Amazon released it weekly. But The Expanse, I love like sci-fi, anything
Okay.
sci-fi. But it wasn't all at once anymore. But yeah, I love Netflix and stuff like that, and Disney Plus, which is hooked up in the main TV. I'm super excited for some of the upcoming Marvel stuff that
Yeah.
they have planned.
Uh,
Um,
I try to keep up with Marvel. I'm a big Marvel guy, but I'm not
mhm.
a big Marvel guy, if you know what I mean. I love
Yeah.
Marvel. I love Marvel. I love their product. I love their production and everything. I did watch WandaVision. I loved WandaVision. It was absolutely phenomenal.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of Marvel movies I haven't watched, and people
Yeah.
listen. I'm not gonna name all the movies because there's a lot. So that should be like hit number one to you. Uh, I mean, but yeah, Marvel is great. Marvel is phenomenal. I love Marvel. Disney Plus is great. That show you were talking about on Amazon Prime. You said what was it called?
It's called The Expanse.
Oh, what
It's
what,
based
what was
on a
that
book
about?
series. It's basically about people from Earth. It's all humans, people from Earth, people who live on Mars, and people who kind of live in the asteroid belt and stuff like that. And it's like a political action drama. It's kind of similar to like Stargate or Battlestar Galactica and stuff like that. So if you're into those kind of shows, I'm all about it.
Yeah, I can tell by your little
Oh
poster back
yes,
there. That's awesome. I love that.
yes.
So I laughed when you said Battlestar Galactica. I'm not a big science guy, or really that much. I laugh because they mention it a lot in the show. One of my favorite shows, The Office.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if you watch The Office, but
Everyone's gonna hate me. I have never seen The Office. My
oh,
brother loves it
Kate.
though, and he keeps telling me I need to watch it. You need to watch it.
I did a podcast last week, and my guest was saying that she watched like the first episode of the first season and said this is stupid. And
Oh wow.
a lot of people were telling her same thing I told her in the podcast. Don't watch the first season. Don't watch it because yeah, I mean, if you want to watch like the whole, I watched it like 25 times over and over again, and I'm not even exaggerating. Uh, the first season is absolute shit. It's so bad. It's not funny. I they tried to copy the British version a lot in
Oh
the
okay.
first season because it's a spin-off of the British version, The Office. But at the season one was just bad. I mean, it was funny if you're an Office fan, but if you don't like The Office, don't watch season one. Start off at season two, and you'll thank me later. Because the rest after season one, it goes just up.
Phew.
It skyrockets because it's so
Oh
funny. It skyrockets because it's so good. Like The Office is so good. I
yeah.
fucking love The Office. Like when they took
It's
it
it's
off of,
on it's on Peacock now, right? It's
yeah,
what.
it's on Peacock. So
Okay.
yeah, and the WWE Network will be moving there very soon.
Oh,
Uh yeah.
so then I'll have access to it then. That's
You get
perfect.
access to exactly. So you got
Yes.
Peacock now, right? Or no, not yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can watch it now.
Yes, you go watch The Office. Remember. Don't watch season one. Just watch
Okay.
season two.
Yes.
Okay, remember that. Very important. You learned that here on the Nerds of Wrestling podcast. uh, you said Tampa is a big weekend for you. What's going on in Tampa? What do you got planned?
I am so far wrestling at the GC Generational Championship Wrestling in Florida. At their morning show, it's called Best in Class. I think it starts around 10 o'clock. And then also my academy is going out there. DFW All Pro is going to be DFW All Pro versus the World, which is around 4 or 6 o'clock. I don't know. And then I think I'm going to be helping out with New Texas Pro is also going down there as well. They'll be there on that Friday as well. So pretty busy Friday, but I'm also trying to do a bunch of other stuff throughout the week and just help out wherever I can. Whether it's I don't know, standing by the door or taking down rings or stuff like that. I just want to be busy all weekend. I don't want to get any sleep, basically.
Right. Yeah, that I like how you said that because another thing a lot of wrestlers say is how you get your foot in the door is going to help out at shows, going to take down the ring, going to set up the chairs. Before you kind of took off in your wrestling career, were you doing that stuff? Were you just
Hmm.
showing up at shows and just helping out? Always,
Yeah.
and I feel like the number one thing wrestlers always say is, I'm not a wrestler, and I always know you always had to have your gear on you.
Hmm.
So, was there a time where you went to a show and you had your gear on you, and you were booked last minute, or you just like hanging out, helping out?
I don't think I've ever been booked last minute, just because it is harder, I guess, for like women, because they're like, oh, if I don't have another woman, like, who am I
Right,
going to put you against? Well, they're more often to have another guy, but there, it's so good and so important to go out to those shows. I was going out and helping out before I even graduated, just helping out with places like Sabotage and Inspire and stuff like that down in Texas. Um, just because you may be very good in like the area that you're at. You may be like, everyone loves you in a certain state or a certain area that you're at, but like people outside of there may not know who you are, and that's not a detriment to your skill set or how good of a wrestler you are. It's just that they don't know you. So you have to do whatever it takes to get your face out there and be known
right.
by these people. Because once they see you, if you're good, they'll love you. You just have to get that exposure and have them, see your face basically.
I love that. That's a great mindset. And there's so many wrestling promotions out there, and I'm sure you want to, get your name out there everywhere. What are some promotions? You're located in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. So
Correct.
Texas, I know Texas is big wrestling.
Hmm.
I had you're wrestling one of the guests I had on this coming weekend, Maddie
Hmm.
Minkowski.
Hmm.
Maddie Minkowski is, shout out to Maddie. She's doing her thing. I know she's, doing great. She's been booked on Dark a few times, so that's awesome for her. Uh, Texas is a big wrestling state. I know that for sure. I'm in Connecticut, and we're huge as well up here. But it seems like to me, Texas has a lot more women wrestlers than they do in Connecticut. I mean, there's a lot in Connecticut, but they're not really talked about as much as
Yeah.
Texas, I think. I'm sure you heard of Connecticut.
Hmm.
But like, what are some promotions in like Texas or Connecticut or New York or anywhere that you would love to get your foot in?
Oh, there's just so many. There's just a lot that's happened out like on the East Coast and stuff like that. Like you said, there's just so much happening on the East Coast wrestling wise and stuff like that. Definitely, my my biggest aspirations would be Shimmer and Ring of Honor are like my two, where I'm just like, I want to for sure do those at some point. But just getting out there more and stuff like that, and traveling, that's one of my favorite aspects of that wrestling allows me to do and stuff like that. Like this past weekend, went up to New Jersey to help out
Nice.
at GCW's awesome show. Take care. Go make sure to check out that show.
GCW. Oh, okay,
It,
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
it was crazy. Like some of the death matches on the show were crazy, but like
It took me
just
a
getting to
second to think.
travel was it
Yeah,
was so awesome. Got to go to New York for the first time, and any opportunity that allows you to get out there and just see the world, that's just so cool. Like,
GCW is nuts. It took me a second to think of. I was like, okay, GCW. Yeah, I know who GCW is. I know what they are. They're nuts. They are.
yeah.
They honestly kind of really just took off. I mean, they always been a very big promotion, but
Mhm.
over the summer, last summer, they were doing, you
Like the
know,
collective and stuff.
Beyond and
Yeah.
GCW up in Jersey, what Atlantic City, I think, right? If I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. And I was just watching these shows. I'm like, bro, this is awesome. And then like 2 weeks later, GCW has another show, and then another
Yeah.
show. I'm like, oh my god, like what the fuck is going on? That's insane. What was that like going to GCW? You said their death matches were insane. I completely agree. They're
Yeah.
nuts.
It was just crazy. Like they had such a good atmosphere there. Like just seeing the people walk in for basically the crowd and stuff like that. Their fan base is just so like enthusiastic about their product and stuff like that, and they were almost just like, it was like fans were basically greeting each other like they hadn't seen each other in forever, like they were long lost friends and stuff
Yeah, I
like
love
that.
that.
Like it was just this awesome family environment, and the crowd was just electric. I had not seen anything like that kind of like on an independent scale in a while, so it was kind of awesome just to see how the crowd took to every match and stuff like that, and how much fun they had. It
Yeah.
made you want to be like, man, I want to get in there. Like this is why you do this, like, so.
Speaking of fans, You as a wrestler must have come across, a lot of crazy times, meeting fans. What is like the craziest experience or the best interaction you ever had with the fan?
Uh, mm, that's so hard. There's so many good fans and stuff like that.
Yep.
I think the ones that mean the most to me though are like whenever like the kids come up to you and they're like, "Oh my gosh, can," they're afraid to ask for a photo, so like their parents are like, "Can we get a photo?" And then you're like, "Oh, of course," and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I just try to think back to like I guess I wasn't a kid, but like when I was younger, where it was these larger than life people and stuff like that, and it was just so awesome to get to meet them and stuff like that. So it makes you think about that.
I love that. That's great. That must feel pretty cool, like to go to a show and have kids. Oh, can I get a picture with you? Oh, can I get your autograph? I love that. That's
Yeah.
incredible. We were talking about a match that you have this coming weekend against Miss Reality, Maddie Rankowski. What are your thoughts going into that match with Maddie Rankowski?
Oh man. Well, me and Maddie have only fought each other once before, and it was probably over a year ago at this point. It's been quite a while. I think it was around like when she was first starting out and stuff like that, and I was still very new also. So to see where we have come since then, I'm very excited to get in the ring and just kind of see what happens. Like see her skill set, and then also show her what I've been learning over the past year and stuff like that. And I think I'm gonna give her a bit of a reality check of her own. I see her
Oh,
talking all that smack on Twitter and stuff like that, and she's accomplished so much, and I'm
right.
so happy and proud of her. She works so hard for everything that she's gotten, but I think she needs to be humbled just a little bit. Just a little bit
Oh.
this Saturday. You know, that's how I feel about it.
I love that. It's gonna be a good match, and I know that show is stacked. I just seen another show booked. I think someone Myron Reed is on the show, and I forgot
Yes.
who he's going against. It's like a 6-man tag team match or
Yeah, they're
something.
having some like cruiserweight tournament, I think
Yeah,
is what they're calling it. And it's going to be on Fight TV. So if anybody is looking for something to watch this weekend, make sure to check out the Independent Wrestling Expo. They have some crazy matches. One of the students from the academy, also Kari Wright, he's our current champion. He's going to be facing Ace Austin, which that's
wow,
a freaking
holy
huge
shit!
match. Yeah, that's a huge match, a huge opportunity for him. But he is really talented, so make sure to check him out also.
I will definitely be checking out that show. And you have I feel like you're booked like crazy. You have a show this Saturday, and you have a show tomorrow on March 12th as we're recording this.
Mhm.
Who are you wrestling, and what are your thoughts going into that match on March 12th?
Wrestling Victoria Mosh. She is a student from the DFWL Pro Wrestling Academy. She's kind of newer, but she's starting to get, headstrong about stuff like that. She's getting more confident in the ring. She's kind of got like this little this rock star kind of mentality thing going. Comes out headbanging and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be like tomorrow. It's kind of weird now being on the opposite side of like I used to be the new person, and now it's
Right.
like, oh, I'm the veteran ish kind of like, not super. I'm only like 3 years in, but still, it's kind of interesting to see that dynamic switch now. So I'm interested to see what she's going to bring to the table. We've never wrestled before, and I want to see her bring it her all basically.
I'm excited to see that. A lot of people who will be at that show are excited to see that. Is there any
Mhm.
way the nerds of wrestling could watch that match, that show?
Uh, Unfortunately, not. Because
Darn.
it's the student show, so they don't
Right.
do live streaming and stuff like that. But occasionally they'll release matches online and stuff like that. But mostly it's kind of like a developmental area for students to kind of get their reps in and stuff like that. But
Okay.
it's also kind of grown into like its own beast as well. Like we say it's a student show, but the production value and some of the guests, the wrestlers they've had on there, it's been kind of crazy. Like freaking Sammy Guevara, Mecha Wolf, like Thunder Rosa, Jazz have all wrestled on that show. So
Wow.
sometimes it can be popping, but it still is a student show. Like it
Right.
still is for people who are still very, very new and just trying to, get comfortable in front of a crowd. So
There you go. Well, I wish you nothing but the best of luck in your match against Maddie Rankowski for Wrestling on Expo this Saturday, and your match tomorrow against Victoria Mosh. I hope I said that name right. I hope I didn't botch
yes.
it. Okay, good. Uh, Kate, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show today. This was a lot of fun, and I definitely hope to have you on again in the near future.
Absolutely, I'd be down. I had so much fun. Thank you for having me on.
Anytime. And for the last time, one more time, where can the nerds find you?
Right down here on Twitter and Instagram at WrestleKate. Follow me on there to get all the updates about my life and my wrestling career.
There you go, nerds. Thank you so much for watching. This has been an episode of What's Up Wrestler, a podcast by Nerds of Wrestling. I'm your host, Justin Del Rio. Have a great night. Peace out.